Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be going over the question and answer developer Q&A that was out today about Battle for Azeroth. Basically, it's June 14th is the date of today, and basically what I do in these, if you haven't watched one of these before, is they're like plus an hour plus long, and I just kind of shorten it down and make it a little bit more, easy to take in the knowledge without having to invest a whole entire hour. A lot of these questions were repeats, so I did take some questions out just from the last Q&A. I did leave some repeats in if he gave a little bit different answer. So it wasn't the best Q&A in the world, but let's go ahead and go through it as quickly and efficiently as possible. So the first question was about blood trolls being an allied race during the X-Pack, and then if yes, what's going to be the alliance counterpart? No, this question was just put in here to clear up a misconception. At E3, apparently somebody mentioned that blood trolls were going to be a thing. They actually meant Zandalari trolls. They just misspoke. They just didn't say the correct thing. So it's just the Zandalari trolls. There's no blood trolls. Blood trolls are evil. There never would be an allied race. He made sure to clarify that. Is the allied race system going to be a BFA thing, or will it continue going forward? This is a repeat question. It's more in the future. This was touched on before, and my guess is that they will continue to add new races pretty much every single X-Pack, even if it's only one race, even if it's only one for Horde, and then the next one's one for Alliance to balance it out. But my guess is they're going to continue to add these. This is a way, honestly, to make money with race changes and stuff. Similar patch cycle to Legion in BFA. And yes, there's going to be large content patches, so that's like the 8.09 or 8.0, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and then there's also going to be those 0.5 patches, which we had in Legion, which were nice, that would give you a little bit of content, something to do in that lull time. Now, obviously, we didn't get a 0.5 patch for Antorus, but it was still, in most of them, we had a 0.5 patch, and they were nice. We had the Chromie thing, we had changes to other things. It was nice. So they are going to continue doing the small content patches in the middle of the large patches. Ask about flying in BFA. Do you have to level Horde and Alliance to earn it? Again, this is just clarifying something that people were complaining about. It's the same as Legion, so if you know how to get flying in Legion, it's basically the exact same thing. Obviously, the quests are different, the requirements are different, but the same process. There's some stuff in data mining that suggested you had to have Coltiran and Zandalar as your allies, which would suggest you had to be Horde and Alliance. But it's only one of them. It's just a wording, a phraseology wrong, and they're going to change it if it's not already changed. Keeping Pathfinder achievements for old X-Packs, like 2 X-Packs old, like Warlords of Draenor. There's no current plans to change that. The basic, and it's straightforward and a little bit rude, but they don't want to reward people for being lazy. I mean, go back and do it. If you want to fly in the old stuff, go back and do it. They purposely make the stuff, especially now, as if you don't have flying. For a while, I know in Burning Crusade and Wrath of Lich King, they designed stuff a lot to have flying, and Cataclysm too. And then they're like, this doesn't feel as good. So they started designing everything to be based on not flying. So you can level while not flying. You're just going to have to deal with it. If you don't like it, you need to go back and do the achievements. I agree with this because it's like the whole part of the expansion. Like, everything that goes into getting the flying is like the storyline of the expansion. Go do it. Experience the storyline. Specs that are on radar for mages changes before pre-patch. No major changes. They're still tweaking things to make it feel better because a few things still feel clunky. He said, he's sorry. Some things still don't feel good. They're gonna, by the first big patch, they hope to have everything fixed, or at least as close to fixed as possible. But there's just gonna be tweaks here and there until then. Updates on class buffs, Power Word, Fortitude, Mark of the Wild, etc. So like buffs that you give other players, not like power buffs. They are trying to balance classes beyond damage, but for other things they can bring to the group. And a big example in Legion is a Warlock for summon. So a big thing for my guild is like, we need a Warlock. A lot of people in my guild are lazy, or used to be, not as much anymore. So then we need to summon. I guess we didn't have a Warlock for a while, so maybe some people got used to running there. But they want classes to be useful, so you bring one even if it's a currently weak class. So, for example, Elishams were really weak, so maybe Shaman in general would have something that's very beneficial to a raid. So maybe you'd bring that Elisham even though they were really weak at the beginning of Legion. if they had something else that was useful. Will classes play like beta on the BFA pre-patch, or will there be some temp adjustments for things that might play as well? Basically, everything going forward is focusing on BFA, so it'll be mostly play like beta. They still numerically have to tune some things, so your damage, you do enough damage to kill the stuff in Legion, because you might still want to go do a world quest in the pre-patch or raid or whatever else, so you still need to do enough damage to kill stuff. So that they do have to tune that, even though but the gameplay will be very similar to BFA, and that's what they're focusing on. What will all the new stuff be in the pre-patch, basically, like talents and everything like that? This is, if you've played enough expansions, you know this answer. Yes, as all other pre-patches, it's basically the core of the X-Pack of BFA. However, like the new content, the leveling, the new zones, that will be later on. A continuation of this question was war mode. Will that be in the pre-patch? Yes, this system will be there as well. If you don't know what war mode is the solution to PvP, PvE servers. Now there's normal servers and there's role-playing servers. If you're on a role-playing server, you're not going to be cross-realmed with other people because that's kind of like, it's their own community. However, any other server, you can choose whether you want to be or not. You can either you can turn war mode off and just never worry about PvP. You just do your quests, do your raids, do your dungeons, do your world quests, do whatever you want, farm, whatever, no PvP. If you turn on war mode, basically it gives you end game rewards. So there's no huge reason to have it on, except for it. There is one reason, but there's no huge reason to have it on when you're leveling early on. However, you do get XP bonus, you get gold bonuses. There's bonuses to everything. They're trying to make it tuned to where the bonus isn't so much that everyone who's just purely PvE is like, what the heck, I'm getting screwed over here. And they don't want to buff it too little, so where the PvP people are like, wow, I just killed, I was getting mauled by Alliance or Horde while leveling. I killed them all, but I'm like 2 hours behind everyone else. What was the point of even having war mode on? They want to have you get enough rewards to make it worth that, the time that you're losing while PvPing. Because they want people to still PvP too, basically. Cross-realm restrictions on Mythic raids. This was a really interesting question. So right now, when a raid comes out, you basically can't do cross-realm in it on Mythic until the next raid comes out, basically. So there's still going to be cross-realm restrictions. They want to preserve server and guild identity. However, they've noticed tons of cross-server heroic groups, and they aren't able to Mythic raid traditionally. They wait until the next raid, or they're not able to Mythic raid. Traditionally, they would wait till the next raid to unlock to allow the cross Mythic raiding. However, they think that's a little too far. So there's a new thing. It's like the Hall of Fame. There's an achievement. So if you're one of the first 100 guilds in Alliance or Horde, so 200 guilds, but first 100 guilds in either faction, you will to kill the final boss on Mythic. You will be put into the Hall of Fame. This will be ranked. So the first guild to do it will be ranked first, second guild will be ranked second, and so on and so forth. Once 100 Horde guilds and 100 Alliance guilds finish a raid on Mythic, it'll then automatically be opened up for cross server at that point. So instead of waiting 5 months, maybe you'll wait 2 months, maybe you'll wait 1 month, maybe you'll wait 4 months. But it'll be less than now. So it'll be after any tuning's done and stuff like that to make it easier probably as well. Artifact weapon trains being disabled right away. This is, again, kind of a repeat question. Yes, they are disabled right away. Quests will, of course, explain it. The question was, I'm not giving the question as much to do. It was basically saying, why is it disabled right away? We haven't even done the quests. We haven't done everything to explain it yet. Well, basically, whether you have done the quest or not, like, the stuff already happened. The quests are just kind of explaining what has happened. So yes, they're going to be disabled right away. Artifact skin restrictions should be based on class, not spec. Was kind of like what the question was referencing. They are keeping spec restrictions even for Xmog. So if you're a fire mage, they're using mage as an example, you can't transmog your frost staff to your weapon if you're in fire spec. They're just not going to let you do it. They had a decent reason. I don't agree with it personally all the way. I think that they should just get into this, and maybe the community will force them to, because it's kind of a big deal. But basically, what their reasoning is, the He's Paladin's example, in BFA you'll probably use a one-hander and a shield as a Holy Paladin. However, you can still transmog your two-handed spell weapon over that if you want, which breaks the current rules, because currently you wouldn't be able to transmog a two-hander over a one-hand plus shield. That wouldn't normally work. However, they're letting that break. So that's not necessarily worried about, but what they're thinking is people could really take advantage of that. And Paladin wouldn't be the best example, but like classes that can use one-handers, that can use daggers, classes that can use a huge variety of weapons might be able to transmog something over it that doesn't really make sense. Basically, they don't want Legion to be pointless. They still want your artifact thing to have some meaning to you, but it's just going to be class meaningful, or spec meaningful as it is now. No switching gear, Mythic Plus and BFA. Was this intended? Well, yes, it is intended and needed, in my opinion. You can't change your talents in a dungeon. If you could change Azerite gear, you would essentially be changing a set of talents in a dungeon. If you don't know how Azerite gear works really quick, basically every piece of gear can eventually be in like an Azerite piece of gear, which basically just means it has 3 little talent tiers on it. You choose between a couple things. So you can choose between damage for a spell or just static damage. You can choose for, and the next choice might be for different ways to take less damage. And so basically, if you could change gear during that, let's say you had four helms that were same item level with 4 different traits on it. You could just switch out, okay, I want my AoE helm on, I want my single target helm on. And they just don't want you to do that. They want you to choose the loadout that just gives you the best all-purpose, best for all purposes thing. Or let's say you're going to focus on single target and another guy's going to focus purely on AoE. You're going to really damage the boss and he's going to really damage the trash. That's what they want you to do. I agree with this. A lot of people are saying, no, you're making it too easy. You're making it too easy. No. In my opinion, they're making it harder. It's easy to just switch your gear. Yes, it's more work to like go sim everything, but it's easier once you do the sim to just change your gear. That's much easier. You shouldn't be able to change your gear mid-fight. You shouldn't be able to change your gear. I totally disagree with the part of the community that says that this is a bad thing. New BFA Mythic Plus fixes. This is something that was really interesting. I had 2 good ones in a row here. They're not overhauling Legion of fixes, so those are mostly the same. They are tweaking them a little bit, not much. No change for change's sake. The biggest change is Tyrannical and Fortified are now the first to fix. So Mythic Plus 2, as soon as you get a plus, you either have Fortified or Tyrannical automatically. Before, if you played during the beginning of the expansion of Legion, there was a huge breakpoint between Mythic Plus 9 and Mythic Plus 10. Now the breakpoint will be between regular Mythic and Plus 2. It won't be as big of a breakpoint because it's only a regular and a Plus 2, so it's not as inherently hard anyways, which seems smarter to me. At Mythic Plus 10, however, you're going to have seasonal fixes. This is new. So this is, I think it's 257 he said, or 237 are the current affixes, and then at 10 you'll have the seasonal fix. So basically think of it as this is season 1. So when the first stuff starts, it's going to be season 1. It's for the season 1 for the first raid, the PvP, and Mythic Plus dungeons. This is going to be a theme. These are going to be themed. The first one's themed for Gahoon, the final boss in the first raid, and it's called Infested. Every week Parasites will infest random non-boss units, buffing them, and when you kill it, the parasite will literally leave the unit it was in and try to go to another one. You can CC, you can try to kill the parasites, or you can just let them go to the next thing. You should probably try to kill them, in my opinion, without seeing it yet. Or it escapes to another random non-boss unit, buffing them up. And it escapes to another unit in the dungeon. Basically, I thought it seemed really cool. In Season 2, Infested will be gone. You won't do Infested anymore, and there'll be a new Season 2 affix, probably based on the next raid or what's going on in the expansion. Gear comparison between Mythic Plus and Raid, same as Legion. Everything's pretty much the same as Legion as far as that goes. As far as Azerite goes, Azerite armor, it's all based on eye level, so it doesn't really matter where you get the thing from. It's based on eye level. However, the only way to get Azerite gear is from stuff with a lockout. So you're not going to get it from running a Mythic Plus 3. However, you could get it out of your weekly chest for running weekly plus 3. The weekly chests are going to be the key because that's the lockout. It's locked out every week. The same thing for PvP. You can get Azerite gear in PvP, but it's based on your weekly lockout of conquest points. There was some PvP questions. Speaking of conquest points, I really went over that pretty thoroughly in the last one, however, so I didn't put it in. On launch, what is lock on Mythic Dungeons? On Legion, lock was 845 eye level. I just put this in. It wasn't that interesting, but I just wanted to point out to people that just like in Legion, there's going to be like a 3-week preseason. He said that's his words, not mine. A 3-week preseason to where you can kind of gear up, get up to a certain eye level, then you can start doing the Mythic Dungeons. However, and then after the 4th week, the Mythic Raid will open. So the raid's open on already. However, one more week, and then the Mythic opens, and that's when everything is just unlocked basically. So you can get Titan Forge stuff. There's no like nerfs to stuff to keep it at a certain eye level, so people aren't like massively higher than what they intended to be. But as soon as that happens, everything will be unlocked. So yeah, that was the final question I did, at least on my little overview thing here. If you have any questions, if I went too fast or kind of stumbled over something, feel free to ask. I'll try to clarify. Again, I skipped some things that were very repetitive, and I put a couple things in that were very repetitive. So, but it is most of the content there, and hopefully that helped somebody, and everybody have a good one.